So, when I put like a question, most common view of predestination, this is the answer of the AI. Now that the computer answers this. Can you read this one?
Yes. Absolute predestination is a theological concept primarily associated with Calvinism, which states that God has predetermined the eternal fate of every individual, meaning who will be saved and who will not, with no human choice or action able to alter this predetermined destiny. Essentially, God has chosen everything that will happen, including who will be saved, before the creation of the world, leaving no room for free will in salvation.
So that is most kind of common understanding of a predestination. And we know this favorite scriptures. Maybe I want to ask Dr. Weston, can you read this too?
Deuteronomy 11, 26, 28, King James. Believe. Says, behold, I set before you this day a blessing and a curse. A blessing if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I commanded you this day, and a curse if you will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside of the way which I command you this day, and you go after other gods, which you have not known. Deuteronomy 30, 19 says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life, death, blessing, cursing. Therefore choose life, that thou and thy seed may live.
So this is our kind of like a core teaching of this class, core teaching of this class. So based on that, today I wanna kind of like examine the providential history through this viewpoint. So that lesson can be applied to our daily life.
Right.
So this title today is God's Providential History through the perspective of God's original desire and the human choice. So I want to start from the story of before Adam started with that archangel. Mama Joy, can you read this one? Hebrew 1:6-7.
An archangel became Satan. Why? Because of his arrogance. Hebrews 1:6-8, King James Version. And again, when he bringeth in the birth begotten into the world, he said, and let all the angels of God worship him. And of the angels, he said, who maketh his angels spirits, and his ministers a flame of fire. But unto the Son he said, thy throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of thy kingdom.
So from here, God, this is the kind of like something that Adam. God was an angel worship Adam. Right, Dr. Wilson, it's okay, right?
To worship.
To worship.
Yeah.
That is God's original desire. Ken-san, can you read this one?
The Quran 7. It is we who created you and gave you shape. Then we bade the angels bow down to Adam, and they bowed down. Not so Iblis. If you don't know, Iblis is another way of saying Lucifer. He refused to be of those who bow down. God said, what prevented you from bowing down when I commanded you? He said, I am better than he, Adam. You, God, created me from fire, and him, Adam, from clay. God said, get down from this place. It is not for you to be arrogant here. Get out, for you are of the meanest of creatures.
So you can see God's original desire was Lucifer bow down to Adam. But it didn't work like that. So I think this is the first God experienced first. His desire was not.
He expressed it. Yeah.
Then there's a famous story I showed it. Patricia, can you read this one, Genesis 2:16, 17?
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree in the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
So at the time that Adam and Eve had a choice. Maybe Mama Joy, can you read?
Right, Genesis 3, 4, and 6, King James Version. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
So now that the choice is not only that they eat or not eat, but also whose word they believe. Choice. They supposed to choose God's word to obey. But the reality is, you can see they obeyed Satan's word and brought fall of human ancestor.
You know, that screen that we just left, in some scriptures, in some of the books, it says that Eve, she was seeking wisdom. First, it said she was seeking wisdom. And then she went to the tree. So, but this is worded differently. And it seems though through this a later version of King James, it says that she found wisdom there, but in the older books, because they do change, it states that she was seeking wisdom. And that gives a totally different twist. Because seeking wisdom, seeking God, seeking knowledge, seeking understanding, she was seeking. And she was able to discern that on that tree. So it makes a difference to me. It makes a difference. The version here shows an after, whereas in some of the versions it's before.
You know, I had a question about, like, did Adam and Eve realize that they had a spiritual body and a physical body? Or did they just think they were material beings? Maybe their spirit and body were one and the same at that time, and then after the fall, they were not. Because we can't see spiritually like they could probably see. But the words that they were conversing in, the angel knew, but he wasn't perfect. He had fallen, a possibility to fall, just like people did. Maybe
So
if Adam would have stood up and said, no way, we're not going to do this thing, you know, it would have ended with Eve, right? And it didn't. But, you know, the point is, who could understand what? And there really was no recourse once they made a mistake.
they realize that the spirit and flesh, but that the sense, spiritual sense and physical sense are united. That's why if that we only have we don't have a spiritual sense. Sometimes we hear that spirit word, that warning something. But Adam and Eve always make a conversation with God. God is a spirit. So they already kind of have a sense, a spiritual sense. And the spiritual sense and physical sense are totally, I think, naturally united for them, I believe.
Well, it's kind of clear because it is, the Bible does state that in the cool of the day, I mean, God and Adam could always commune with each other. So that was always communication. That wasn't the problem. The problem is that God was saying one thing and Satan was saying another. And what Satan said appealed to them the greatest at the time. She wanted wisdom or more wisdom, and she gave to him because she wanted him maybe to have more wisdom or to be on the same side. I can't go into that area, but God was always communicating with her. It said daily. That's what it said. Take it as it said. They fell from, and the fact that they fell from the grace. They lost their grace status.
So what I want to emphasize is God's original desire was for them to fulfill three great blessings.
Absolutely.
But that was not fulfilled.
That was not fulfilled.
Adam and Eve, that God's original desire was three great blessings, it was not fulfilled. And Jesus' time, Jesus fulfilled three great blessings, but that was not fulfilled. That was God's original desire, but not fulfilled.
And that should have been their desire.
Yeah.
When he expressed his desire to them, that should have been their desire.
Like the Adam and Eve and Jesus, just like 4,000 years.
Yeah.
4,000 years. And just like time passed by. No. That God put the prophet there to make a foundation for Jesus. Each one of them had a choice.
That's right.
Each one of them had a choice. Each time there's a God's original desire and what they choose.
Yeah.
So that I want to show them one by one.
That's right.
So that we can really kind of like master the idea that God put life and death, blessing and curse. It depends on the human choice.
See, that's what I meant by here a little and there a little. You'll find the pieces of it in the Old Testament. But if you keep reading, you're going to inevitably find pieces of it in the New Testament. Because it's like, okay, we crossed over to maybe another session, but we have to go retrospect. Somebody has to be positioned by God to talk about what should have happened and didn't happen, but then tell us why. What is the evidence that is written to make you think that they went astray or they did something contrary? And it is there, it's documented. And so we keep reading a little further, then we see it again, said by another prophet.
So we're going to talk about Adam and Abel and Cain. Dr. Wilson, can you read this?
Genesis chapter 4, verse 3 through 7, King James, Abel and Cain. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought the first of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering, he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth. And he continued, and his countenance failed. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? Or if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
So this is that's really interesting for me. Cain, even after he murdered Abel, still he talked to God. Still God talked to him. That is interesting. So anyway, what do you think? Did God desire, God wanted Cain to kill Abel?
No.
I don't think God was talking to him about killing, about making an effort to kill. I better put it in the proper frame here. I don't think he
So-
was talking to him about how to kill or what to do kill. But he was communicating with him.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I believe God didn't want Cain to kill
No,
Abel.
I believe that.
That's
too.
why God took time to specify, oh, you're upset because you're offering. Even that offering, that God didn't receive the offering, but he talked to Cain. That is much more valuable than that. But somehow Cain didn't understand. Okay.
Genesis 4:8-11, King James. And Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
So left side, God, that original desire, Lucifer, respect, Adam. They are kind of elder brother and younger brother. Kind of. Same thing. God expected, desired Cain respect Abel, younger son. That was God's original desire, but actually Lucifer rebelled and spiritually killed Adam. Same thing, Cain, elder brother, killed Abel. Repeated same pattern. Patricia, can you read this?
Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Genesis also 4:25. Adam knew Eve,
Amplified.
as his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth. For she said, God has granted another child for me in place of Abel, because Cain killed him.
So what Eve said, because Cain killed Abel, God gave me another son, Seth.
Say that it cannot be explained.
So
Predestination.
Bible said, God gave me Seth because Cain killed Abel. It means that according to the Cain's action, God changed his plan,
Oh,
right? According to Cain's action, God made an alternative plan to give son to Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
That is the significance of sin.
yeah.
You can see Archangel, Adam, Abel. There's God's desire for Archangel. There's God's desire for Adam. There's God's desire, Cain and Abel. Always God's desire, original desire, ignored. How God? Anyway, I will show a few more cases so that we can deeply understand how Abraham is precious in front of God. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob how these three generations, how precious they are in front of God.
Yeah.
Through that, we can deepen that people.
Yes.
So, Dr. Besson, can you read this?
Well, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of thoughts of his heart was only evil to continue. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him as at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I created from the face of the earth, both man, beast, and creeping things, and the fowls of the air. What repenteth me that I have made him? Genesis 6:13, King James. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth.
So, that like Genesis 6:13, in the Japanese Bible, more like God decided to destroy the earth. Decide means that before that, he didn't think like that. But one time, God made his mind to do.
Agree.
So like that, God, humanity, they believe God. That is God's original desire. But they're the choice.
Yes.
Humanity has choice. They choose evil. That's why God repented. If everything goes as God planned, how God repented here?
My God.
Because there's an original desire and always human being made a wrong choice. That's the reason God repented. And Ken-san, can you read this one?
Genesis 18, 20, and 21, King James. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know.
So, Sodom and Gomorrah, their choice, choose God or choose evil. And interesting, the Bible said that God said, I will see, right? I will see there. So it means that God was not sure he destroyed or not. God was not sure. He decided according to the situation. They didn't decide yet.
And that situation was never planned.
Yeah. So destroy Sodom and Gomorrah was not decided from the beginning of the creation. No.
Amen.
God decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah after he went there, after he assigned the angel to see the situation. So through that, we can see God changed the plan according to our
Response.
Choices, okay?
That's really clear.
Okay. So this is kind of like we are going to the story of Abraham. Patricia, can you read this one?
Genesis 22, second verse. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
How God feel
Example.
he should tell Abraham like that. Abraham was so happy when he got Isaac. That's the blessing from God.
Thank you.
That's a blessing of God.
Mhm.
100 years he was waiting.
Mm.
That's a blessing of God. Now suddenly he got the idea. You should offer your son Isaac
My
for
God.
burnt offering.
Mm.
Burnt offering. Nobody can survive that burnt offering.
Mm.
Then what Abraham did? Mama Joy, can you read this?
Yeah, Genesis 22, 10 to 12, King James Version. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son. Mm.
Now I know that
Now,
you
fear
fear God.
Wow.
What kind of emotion God has? So Abraham had a choice. Obey the commandment of God or ignore the commandment of God. God was wondering how Abraham acted. Abraham chose right choice. Then God said, now I know. Not I knew. Now I know. Now I know.
Now,
Now
not before.
I know. Not new, right? I know. God's original desire was ignored. So many times. God's desire was ignored. For the first time. For the first time. Actually, Noah did too, but his son messed up again.
That was fear. This is love. This is about love.
Amen.
This is about love. This is about love.
It's about time that we all can see that.
Mhm.
The love of God.
So, another one. Maybe Dr. Wilson can.
Yes, Genesis 25, 21 through 23, King James. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord entreated for him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. The children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manners of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
God told her, elder shall serve the younger.
Think about it.
So, question, why? Why? And I believe Rebecca, right? Rebecca, I'm sure she shared this revelation to Isaac too. This is word of God. I believe she shared this revelation to Isaac, her husband, too. So I want to show the history of faith of elder and younger relationship. I mentioned that Archangel is kind of elder, and Adam was younger. Archangel killed spiritually Adam. Elder son Cain killed Abel. Now, God said Esau should respect Jacob. That's the original desire of God. Ken-san, can you read this one?
Genesis 25 and 23, King James. The Lord said unto her, Rebekah, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. The elder.
Oh, that is God's revelation to Eve.
And the elder shall serve the younger.
So this is God's revelation to Rebecca. And how Rebecca acted based on our revelation. What do you say?
Genesis 27, verses 11 to 14. And Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, behold, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father, peradventure, will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them.
So what is Rebecca's attitude toward God's revelation? Eve couldn't obey the God's desire and brought hell. How about Rebecca? Rebecca received the revelation from God and do that kind of things, deceiving. We know that it's deceiving. Even she knew it's deceiving, but she obeyed the commandment of God.
Amen.
And what she said, upon me your curse, I will receive your curse. My son, follow my direction. That is to fulfill God's revelation. That's the attitude of Rebecca. She didn't just deceive her husband and the elder son. No, she knew that. She's cursed. She will be cursed. She knew that. But to obey the revelation of God, she sacrificed herself, received the curse.
Upon me be thy curse.
We got to really appreciate Pastor Hero for this. Every church I've ever gone to in my life, then people put down Jacob and Esau. They don't understand. They think, oh, he was just,
Yeah,
you know, he was wrong and he was self-centered and he got together with the mother and they deceived them and such a horrible person. That's not true at all. You feel her heart through this message. Rebecca's heart that was completely united with God. Thank you. Thank you.
Then let's see how Jacob acted.
Steps in.
Mama Jo, can you?
Jacob and Esau. Genesis 27, 41, 42, King James Version. And Esau hated Jacob. Hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, proposes to kill thee. Now she's in the room.
Esau tried to kill Jacob. I will slay my brother Jacob. That is Esau's kind of strong determination. Strong determination. Then how God, Jacob walked. Dr. Wilson, can you
And Genesis 33, 1-3, King James Version. And Jacob lifted up his eyes, looked, and behold, Esau came. And with him 400 men. Wow, and he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the two handmaidens. And he put the handmaidens of the children foremost. He put them out front. And Leah and her children after. And then Rachel and Joseph hindermost. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother.
Jacob and Esau, Genesis 33, verse 8 through 11, King James. And he said, what meanest thou by all this drove?
This is Esau.
Esau speaking. What
And Esau
meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, these are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me.
That was Esau's plan. But that totally over to Esau finally respected Jacob. That was God's original desire. Then I had seen the face of God. Oh, was pleased with me. For the first time, this elder son and the younger son united. Reconciliation was established that moment.
At that moment.
That moment. That's why God kept telling their descendants, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 3 generations come together and made a reconciliation that God kind of prototype. Then God used that prototype to extend chosen people.
Moses.
Yeah. That's my presentation.
Wow.
Everything what we talk, choose human choice. Good or evil, blessing or curse.
That's right.
All through the history, central figure made that kind of like a challenge, and they should make a good choice. But some of them made a wrong choice. But because of these righteous people who made a right choice, we survived, and we survived as a chosen people of God.